Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People's Show. Check the Post Western Nation. Brought to you by Nebraska Spine Hospital. Today I'm joined by Brent Ciancia. He is the guy who operates the Twitter and Facebook account known as Pick 6 Previews. He is a Heisman voter and has been named by the College Football Preview the most accurate Power 5 preview out there each and every year. How you doing today, Brett?
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me back on. I'm excited to be back on and talking some football here. Finally, there's some games to talk about.
I know, right? And I appreciate you joining me. So I want to ask, what did you think of week 1 of the college football season? Now, no Power 5 teams played. That's going to start this upcoming Saturday. Less fans to no fans in the stands, and BYU 55-3 over Navy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I guess my first takeaway was that it was pretty bittersweet, just in the sense that Labor Day weekend always is the season opener for all Power 5 leagues and all college football, D1, D2, D3, everyone, especially high school football, too. In my area, was canceled. So bittersweet in the fact that so many great games and so many student-athletes were forced onto the sidelines, but sweet in the sense that we did get to see some form of football. It was nice seeing any matches we could find. I watched a ton of high school games and then the Saturday lineup. And then specifically BYU, yeah, I had them rated as a top 40 team coming in, top 15 offensive line coming in the nation, and they proved me right. They were just opening up huge holes in the run game. And once you get ahead on a triple option team like Navy, it was tough for them to battle back, so it kind of imploded. But very impressed by BYU. Would have liked to see them. Their normal schedule would have been a bunch of Power 5 opponents, but those were canceled, so it's kind of a shame for them.
So, in your opinion, are we going to get a full college football season, including the college football playoffs and all?
Yeah, I think we'll get so that's the thing. It's going to be a very odd year. About half the leagues are playing, like everyone's talked about, obviously. 9 or 10 games per team, so it's a shortened season. But, yeah, I think the playoff will go on as scheduled. That's the kind of key, why they made it conference-only, a lot of these leagues, and why they reduced the amount of games. They added it in bye weeks because I think you're already seeing some of these cancellations. SMU TCU was supposed to be a game this weekend. That's been postponed. But the point being that there's built-in bye weeks to make this thing kind of flexible and make it work. And, you know, it might be the case that some programs end up getting hit a little bit with the virus or with shutdowns and might only play 6, 7, 8 games. But I think, yeah, you'd ask any of these student-athletes and coaches and fans and everyone, you'd rather have 6 or 7 games than 0. So I think it'll get done. It might not be the prettiest or cleanest thing, but majority of these games are going to be played, and we'll have a playoff and a national check-in.
So talk to me about in case people don't know out there who they are, and it's a little different. You can't include the Pac-12 or the Big Ten in this. Who are your 4 college football playoff teams, prediction-wise anyways, and could BYU now potentially be one of them after how they looked and the fact that, due to no fault of their own, they don't have a strong schedule going forward?
Yeah, Adam, it's really crazy. I mean, this is my 9th season doing Pick 6 Previews, annual season preview book. I hunkered down for 7 months from December till July, writing this thing and researching and finding every fact I can, right? And then you put it on sale, and it's usually locked. But this time around, I mean, everything I put in the book in June it looks different now. I originally had Ohio State and Oregon as playoff teams. Both of them, obviously, their leagues have canceled their football. So those 2 are out. Those spots now open up. I think Clemson still wins the ACC. They'd be a lock. I actually have Florida coming out of the SEC, and I'm standing by that prediction. I made it in June, and I like their schedule. There's some advantages there avoiding Alabama in the regular season, and I think that the SEC is almost guaranteed a spot, maybe even 2, given that they're going through a 10-game gauntlet. So far I'd say Clemson, Florida. I don't really want to pick Oklahoma out of the Big 12, but it's been 5 straight. It's kind of just a chalk pick.
Yeah.
Every time you try and write them off, they do have a great offensive line. Another Joe Moore Award finalist for the best line in the country. A defense under Alex Grinch that's now starting to improve and turn the corner a bit in year 2. If they can finally force some turnovers, we'll see. I look at Oklahoma or even Oklahoma State to come out of there as a surprise. I guess the bigger point of view, what I'd like to see this year is, can we get away from some of the college football chalk, and can some of these teams that are always so close, can they finally break through? Like a team like Oklahoma State, maybe a UNC out of the ACC who's been they were decent last year. I think they're a very improving program. maybe like an A&M out of the SEC or University of Florida, like I said. So I'm interested to see some of these teams that have been close to try and finally break through. But if I had to do it right now, I'd do Clemson, Florida, Georgia, Oklahoma.
So I'm not the expert here, but I'll throw my 2 cents in there. I'm with you. Clemson, 2 SEC teams, whether it's Florida, Georgia, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Alabama. And then I think people are sick and tired of seeing Oklahoma get in there and just get spanked almost every year except for the 1 year in the Rose Bowl when they really should have beat with Baker Mayfield. They should have beat Georgia. I think it'll come down to, like you said, maybe a surprise team, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, or BYU. I think BYU is going to be in that mix after they got that national exposure. They're probably going to go undefeated. But again, I'm not the expert here, so let me ask you this question because you mentioned that you thought Ohio State and Oregon would potentially be in the playoff had those conferences had a season this year in the fall. So talk to me, all right? Why, in your opinion, okay, is the Big Ten not playing football? Is it really safety or is it something else?
Well, that's an interesting topic, and it's going to be debated for months. And I don't really know because you hear the medical experts have different opinions based on which part of the country you're in. I find that a little bit more alarming than anything football related. I think that something like this should be pretty consensus, whether it's safe in Alabama or whether it's safe in Oregon. It shouldn't be based on regionality or politics. So in that sense, I don't know what's going on with that. On a higher level, though, I really, I feel bad for the programs in the Big Ten, especially the ones like Nebraska that want to play. I didn't like how a lot of the national pundits and national experts really got on Nebraska's case when Scott Frost made his statement there. It was kind of ridiculed. I want to take the other approach. I really applaud what he said. I applaud the leadership in Nebraska because, you know what, they're standing up for what they believe in, and it's kind of unity from the player level, the coaches, the AD, up to the chancellor, even the state senator I saw getting involved. And you know what, it's kind of rare nowadays to have that kind of unity and leadership. Finally, someone spoke up, spoke what they believed in, and defended their players. So I think he ought to have been applauded. And it's kind of ironic that a couple days later, Ryan Day made similar statements, and ESPN and all of their pundits all defended Ryan Day. But then you had Desmond Howard saying, throw Nebraska out. I really wish that it could have been down to the school level. If the school wanted to participate, let them participate. Let them field a schedule. Let them find the BYUs and the Armies and Navies of the world to play and cobble together a schedule. The Nebraska, Ohio State, Iowa, teams like this that really wanted to, let them decide. Let them, decide their fate. So, I don't know. This topic really ties in several things. I mean, it ties in the actual underlying medical situation, some behind-the-scenes politics that might be going on, and just at the end of the day, just the personal risk. I mean, you should be able to determine the amount of risk you take on, and that should be placed at the school level and then even down to the individual. If the individual wants to play and take on the risk of playing college football or playing a sport during a virus, I think it should be down to the individual level, not some suits in Chicago behind closed doors. So that would be my take on it. It's really a shame, I mean, for the fans and obviously the student athletes, the coaches, and also the local businesses and community, because some of these college towns, I know Lincoln, one of them, it rides on those 7 fall Saturdays. So I just feel for everyone involved and hope we can get back to normality 2021.
Isn't it funny how that works? How the national pundits perceive Nebraska saying something, Ohio State says the same exact thing. So reality is not reality. Perception and how you want to look at things is reality. And then you talk about different doctors saying different things. And I'm not the first one to point this out. And it's not the first time I've said it. But, Iowa State can play, but Iowa can't. Okay, Pittsburgh can play, but Penn State can't. You've got Navy, who just played, but Maryland can't. You've got all these schools literally in the same state, but, based on which conference you're in, you can. Let's assume the Big Ten, the Pac-12, Nebraska, nobody plays any football this year in any way, shape, or form. How do you think essentially taking a year off from football for the Big Ten Conference and for Nebraska is going to affect the Huskers, the Big Ten, the Pac-12 as a whole when you look ahead to a season from now?
Yeah, it's definitely, I know everyone's tired of this word, but it's definitely unprecedented to be going this far without a game. One thing I was worried about with Nebraska, and not just them, but all of the teams that missed the bowl last fall, was that they hadn't practiced since Thanksgiving. You're talking about all those 15 bowl practices that they would have missed being bowlless. They're missing a winter, a spring, most of the fall camp. So I was kind of worried for teams like that coming in this year being rusty. Now, imagine tacking on a whole other year of that. Now, I guess practices have opened up. You'll get a full spring. So I don't really know. I think everyone will be on the same boat with that within the Big Ten, all going that year off. Now, on a bigger issue, not so much on the field speaking, but off the field, I wonder if some of this might damage some of the recruiting.
Yeah.
I think definitely the Pac-12 showing no fight at all. I mean, USC, that's a powerhouse program. They never even thought it at all or made any statements. So I think the Pac-12 might take a step back in recruiting, and you'll see some more national programs start to pluck some talent out of California and the West Coast. I don't think it hurts Nebraska as much as some might be claiming, just because you saw the kind of fight and the passion for football and the passion for their student athletes and defending their, what they wanted to accomplish. I think that goes a long way at schools like Nebraska, Ohio State, and Iowa, where some of the ones that have been silent, say the Michigan States or Minnesotas of the world, they might suffer a bit in recruiting. So, yeah, definitely a fascinating time to see how this all shakes out. I don't know. It's going to be very unique going forward.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for your time. You can check him out. Check out Brent Ciancia on Twitter at Pick6. Previews, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows? Maybe the Big Ten will shock us all and get a play this year, or maybe not, but we'll see what happens. Here's the interesting thing, because you talk about USC. They're a powerhouse. They're in L.A. They should be able to have a top 5 recruiting class each and every year without having to drive more than maybe an hour. They had the worst recruiting class in the entire Pac-12 last year, worse than like Oregon State, Corvallis, Oregon, or Washington State, Pullman. But anyways, I digress. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. You are the expert, so I want to thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. And, fingers crossed for some type of safe October start. As I said, I'm an optimist. I'm always hoping for the best here for these student athletes and all the fans out there. I know Nebraska has really shown how passionate they are. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully we're talking some Big Ten football in the fall. And if not, we'll still stay in touch and have something to talk about football-wise. So thanks, Adam, for having me on, and we'll be in touch.
Yep, thanks for joining me. And until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red, and always remember to throw the bones. Thanks again to our sponsor, Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's your spine, you do not want to mess around, and experience matters. That's why you can trust the experts at Nebraska Spine Hospital, the region's only spine-specific hospital. They are the best at what they do.